Hello everyone, this is Brian with ZimCo Survival, and today I'm going to do a review on something that you don't see a lot of in bug out bags, but I think is actually pretty important, and that is a survival seed vault. There you go. This is the one that I personally purchased. I did purchase extras because I am of course going to test them out. I don't want to buy a food product like seeds that I'm going to be potentially relying on to give me, you know, food in a bug out situation and not at least test it. So I went ahead and I purchased both of the ones they carry, the actual garden and the herb garden. Now, why did I pick the herb garden? For trading purposes and because I like fresh herbs, so I figured it was a good thing to go ahead and purchase, for me anyway. So let me go ahead and show you the front here of the survival garden. I'll try to kind of get everything into the video for you guys. Let me move my head out of the way, maybe it'll focus a bit better. So there you go. I'm going to go ahead and read off the vegetables that are in it. Bear with me, there are 32 of them in here, so I'm going to try to be relatively quick, but I want you guys to know what's actually in it. Beans, beets, bell peppers, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cantaloupe, carrot, cauliflower, celery, corn, cucumbers, eggplants, kale, lettuce, butter crunch, lettuce, black seed Simpson, lettuce, ruby leaf, lima bean, okra, onions, peas, parsnips, pumpkins, radishes, spinach, sunflowers, the mammoth sunflowers, Swiss chard, tomatoes, turnips, winter squash, butternut, and winter squash jumbo pink bananas, as well as zucchini. It's got a good variety of seeds in here for a survival garden, both summer and winter style vegetables, at least down here in the south. So this garden, what's in here, does contain good survival style foods. I know that a lot of people complain about lettuce being in a survival bag, that everyone should be purchasing things like winter squashes, things that have a really long shelf life. However, in my experience, lettuces grow primarily in the early spring and the early fall here in South Carolina, when a lot of the summer vegetables are gone, and sometimes they can even grow over the winter. So lettuce being in one of these kits, especially the choices they did, these are not your iceberg lettuces that have absolutely no nutritional value. They picked some pretty good nutritional lettuces, which I really like. So I don't really mind that. I know some people do, but for me it didn't. It was actually a benefit for me that they had 3 different types of lettuce, because you can get quite a bit of food out of a head of lettuce if you know how to harvest it properly. But there you go, there's another look. It's got 32 varieties. It is open pollinated, 100% heirloom, non-GMO, and absolutely no hybrids in here at all. I know some people say heirloom and then it turns out to be a hybridized heirloom, and yes, they do make those where they'll say heirloom and then they'll say partially hybridized. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what do you mean? If it's hybridized, it's not an heirloom. But apparently they've managed to figure out how to make some heirlooms breed with each other and then produce a stable seed afterwards. I don't know. Personally, I don't care. If it's not an actual heirloom, then it's not something I'm going to add to my kit. But there you go. It says non-GMO right up there. And this is the open seed vault. I forgot to mention the name for you guys, but there you go. It is the open seed vault package. Now, let me go ahead and get to the herbs, and then I'll get into my experience with actually growing it this year. And I don't know if you guys have actually watched some of my previous videos, but you'll actually be able to see some of my garden up there before on some of my other videos. Let me go ahead and turn you guys really quick. That is the garden. It has overgrown. Why? Because I had a blight run through there like wildfire and just killed everything off before I could stop it. So, garden died. But before that happened, I still managed to get quite a bit of produce out of it, so I was pretty happy with it. As for the herb garden, again, all heirloom, no GMOs, etc., etc. Open air pollinated. This one contains anise, arugula, basil, chives, cilantro, cumin, dill, oregano, parsley, sage, savory, and thyme. So it basically has all the most popular herbs in here, 12 different varieties, pretty much everything that I would use. Each one of these contains a booklet on growing instructions as well as harvesting instructions and seed saving instructions. So each one of these is a self-contained packet that basically states, you know, gives you all the directions you need all in one packet. Now, this particular packet, the Survival Garden one, claims a 20-year shelf life where these seeds will still sprout after 20 years. I'm not going to wait that long to do a re-review for you guys, but I can tell you I had a really good germination rate when I planted them. Pretty much everything that I planted grew, with the exception of bell peppers, which seemed to really cause me some problems. I don't know if I got a bad batch, but I did manage to get a bell pepper plant out of 5 that I planted, so that one only seemed to have a 20% sprout rate. But then again, I don't know if they drowned because we had a lot of really bad rain when we actually planted them, and bell peppers I know are very touchy about that, so it's very possible that they drowned. So I can't entirely blame it on the product because it could have been the weather that killed them off, or it could have been me, who knows. But next year I'll go ahead and plant the same seeds again, and I will do an update video about that when I get that done. Maybe, you know, I'll be able to give you guys a better example of how the bell peppers and stuff did. But in general, very good packet of seeds. I got a pretty good germination rate on pretty much everything that I did. The pink banana, the jumbo pink bananas are huge, and they are a winter style squash. So they will stay for about 6 months in the right conditions, and each one will weigh about 40 pounds. I ended up getting, I forgot, I think it's like 6 of them before the plants died, and they were about that big, so they weren't even full grown yet, and they still weighed a ton. So I have to say that the amount of food you're going to get out of these packets are pretty good. Now let me go ahead and open them up for you really quick and give you guys an example. It is a resealable Mylar bag to help, again, keep everything nice and fresh. And this is what you're going to get inside. You're going to get these little Ziploc baggies. Each one is going to be labeled kale, celery. And to give you an example of how many seeds you're getting, that's the celery right there. Alright? And then right here you have the kale. So you are getting a good number of seeds, except for some of the large seeds. Like here's corn. I did plant quite a bit of this corn. There was more than that in the bag. I planted probably 15 stalks. And the corn grew at a 100% sprout rate. So each one of these seeds grew a corn. Each one did produce 1 ear though. But again, I think that's because of the blight and everything that ran through there. The corn did catch it, but it continued to grow anyway. So I think it may have weakened the corn a little bit, so I only got 1 ear. But I did get some pretty decent, you know, full ears of corn out of it. So I'm not too worried about it. This is the growing guide that you're going to get inside. Basically gives you all the different plants that they put in here, the page numbers, and basically all of the growing instructions and harvesting instructions and seed saving instructions. Now, why do I think that a seed vault is important in a bug out bag? Who's going to sit here and plant crops when they're bugging out, right? And that's where I start to have a problem with some of the people that I deal with who are preppers, that I actually deal with myself, in that they don't think about the long term. Yes, you're bugged out. The world ended, you bugged out, and you're on the run basically. But eventually, everything is going to stabilize. Eventually. You know, large number of the population is going to starve to death because they aren't prepared. The rest of the population is going to more than likely form groups to scavenge and do things of that nature, because there's of course protection in groups. But what happens after that when you're trying to build a sustainable community? And to me, that's where these seeds come in. This is the thing that you're going to be carrying around with you, waiting for the time when you can actually plant them. And the amount of food that is in this bag is incredible when you think about it. Okay? For example, each one of my pink banana squash plants produced about 2 or 3 squashes, or are supposed to produce if the blight doesn't kill them, which is what happened this year. Over the course of the year, they'll produce 2 or 3 big pink banana squashes. That means a seed that weighed a fraction of an ounce will produce between 80 and 120 pounds worth of food for one seed. And I get 20 pink banana squashes in this package, seeds in this package. So when you think about that and you calculate up how much food that would equal, let's say for sake of an example that each one of those squashes only yielded 80 pounds worth of produce. That means that 20 seeds will produce 1,600 pounds worth of banana squash. That's almost a ton. That's almost 1 ton worth of produce in 1 year from a little seed packet about 1 inch by 1 inch square. And there are 32 of them in here of varying types. So in my opinion, this right here is the most food that anybody can carry with them. Yes, you have to spend time to get this food. Yes, this isn't something that you're going to be able to just walk out into the woods, plant, and get food quickly. It takes time. The food has to grow and it has to reach maturity. But this could be a life-saving amount of food for winter use. So in my opinion, both for me and my community, I think it's important that at least someone has some type of seeds with them. And I'm going to make sure that I'm that person. So that's my opinion on it. As far as the quality of the seeds go, I kind of rambled on a little bit. As far as the quality of the seeds go, they're good quality seeds. I have no problems with them whatsoever. I do recommend that you guys purchase them instead of some of the other brands, especially the ones that come in cans. Because my experience with canned seeds is the cans tend to crush, especially if you put them in a bug out bag. And these right here, it's resealable and it's very small, doesn't weigh very much at all, very light, and it's easy for me to just kind of stuff this back in my bag somewhere where I normally wouldn't have anything. Just, you know, because of its size, it allows me to carry something with me that produces a lot of food that I'm not really going to notice being there. So for me, these are an absolute essential item in a bug out bag, not for the initial I have to survive stage, but for the end, okay, now we have to rebuild stuff stage. You can think about the short term, but if you don't think about the long term, you're still going to end up getting screwed in the end. So there you go. That's my review. In my opinion, the open seed vault is very, very good. And its price is about $14.99 for the bag of seeds, which makes it a very good value too. Remember, these are all heirloom open pollinated seeds. I could not buy the seeds from the store and come out cheaper than that. Very good price, very good deal. It's the open seed vault. I will go ahead and put a link in the description for you guys so that you can take a look at it for yourselves. 5 out of 5 stars in my opinion. But there you have it. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. Bye bye.